Light is so familiar, you've stopped noticing how absolutely impossible it is. Think about it. Sunlight leaves the sun's surface. 8 minutes later, it hits your face. Light from the Andromeda galaxy left 2.5 million years ago. Light from the most distant visible objects left 13 billion years ago. Simple enough. Light takes time to travel, just like everything else. Except here's what should keep you up at night. From the light's own perspective from inside that photon's reference frame, no time passed. Zero. None. The photon didn't travel for 13 billion years. The photon didn't travel for 8 minutes. The photon didn't travel for any time at all. Emission and absorption happened simultaneously. The star 13 billion light years away and your retina, from the photon's perspective, they were touching the whole time. How is that possible? How can something take 13 billion years to arrive and also take zero time? The answer will destroy everything you think you know about time. Let me show you. The standard explanation goes something like this. Light is really fast. 299,702,458 meters per second. Nothing travels faster, so fast that it crosses enormous distances in what feels like no time at all. That's not wrong, exactly. But it's completely missing the point, because really fast doesn't explain what Einstein discovered. Speed is just a number. What Einstein uncovered was something far stranger, something that breaks the very concept of time. See, most people think time is universal. A cosmic clock ticking away, the same for everyone everywhere. 1 second for you is 1 second for me, is 1 second for a photon racing across the universe. Wrong? Time is personal, time is relative, and at the speed of light, time doesn't just slow down, it stops completely. This isn't speculation, this isn't philosophy. This is measured, tested physics. GPS satellites have to account for time dilation or your navigation would be off by miles. Particle accelerators confirm it every single day. And when you follow the math all the way to light speed, you discover something that should shatter your reality. Light doesn't just travel fast through time. Light has never experienced a single moment. Start with something simple, something Einstein himself imagined when he was just 16 years old. Picture yourself on a train. You're sitting by the window watching the world slide past. Trees, buildings, other trains. Now imagine your train accelerates. Faster and faster. The scenery blurs. You're moving at tremendous speed. But here's the thing, inside the train, you don't feel like you're moving at all. You can walk around, pour a cup of coffee. Everything inside the train behaves normally now. Imagine you could look at a clock on a passing platform. What would you see? Einstein asked exactly this question. And the answer changed physics forever. As your speed increases, something strange happens to that platform clock. It starts running slow. Not because it's broken, not because of some mechanical failure. From your perspective, time itself is passing more slowly for that clock than for you. This isn't an illusion. In 1971, physicists put atomic clocks on commercial airplanes and flew them around the world. When they landed, the flying clocks had ticked fewer times than identical clocks left on the ground. The difference was tiny nanoseconds, but it was real. The faster you move through space, the slower you move through time. This is called time dilation. Einstein predicted it in 1905. It's been confirmed thousands of times since. But here's the question nobody thinks to ask. What happens at the ultimate speed? What happens when you're not on a train or an airplane, but riding on a beam of light itself? What happens to time at 299,792,478 meters per second? Stop and think about that for a second. If moving faster makes time slow down, and light moves at the fastest possible speed, then for light, time doesn't slow down. Time stops. But that's just the surface. Because if that's true, it raises another question that will truly break your brain. If time stops for light, what does light actually experience? Everyone, time dilation is real. Let's establish something first. Time dilation isn't science fiction. It's not a thought experiment that only matters in theory. It's happening right now. To you. The GPS satellite orbiting 20 kilometers above your head is experiencing time differently than you are. Its atomic clocks tick faster than drops on Earth's surface about 38 microseconds per day faster. That sounds tiny. But if you didn't correct for it, your GPS would accumulate errors of about 10 kilometers per day. Your navigation works because we understand that time is not universal. The astronauts on the International Space Station ate slightly slower than people on Earth. After a year in orbit, they returned about 0.01 seconds younger than they would have been if they'd stayed home. This has been tested, measured, confirmed to 11 decimal places. Here's the formula Einstein derived. Time dilation increases with velocity. The faster you go, the slower your clock runs relative to a stationary observer. At 10% of light speed, time slows by about 0.5%. At 90% of light speed, time slows by about 56%. But here's the thing that should bother you. What happens at 100%? What happens at light speed itself? The math gives you an answer, and the answer is infinity. Time dilation becomes infinite, which means time for anything traveling at light speed completely stops. Level 2, the universe from light's perspective. Now here's where it gets strange. You might think, okay, time stops for light. That's weird, but whatever. Light doesn't think or experience anything anyway, but that's dodging the question. Physics doesn't care whether something is conscious. The equations describe what happens in different reference frames. Every reference frame is equally valid. There's no correct perspective that's more real than any other. So what does the universe look like from light's reference frame? Einstein's equations tell us, and the answer is deeply disturbing. From light's perspective, not only does time stop, space contracts to zero. That's right. A photon leaving a star 13 billion light years away doesn't experience the journey of 13 billion light years. From the photon's reference frame, the distance between that star and your eye is zero. The photon doesn't travel through space, but the photon emission and absorption happen at the same place, the same time, the same instant. Think about what this means. When you look up at the night sky and see the light from a distant star, that photon didn't spend millions of years traveling to you. From its own perspective, it was always touching both the star and your retina simultaneously. The journey never happened. The starlight entering your eye right now has experienced exactly 0 seconds of existence. It was created and absorbed in the same moment. Birth and death simultaneous. Level 3. The fundamental truth about space-time now we're at the core. Here's what Einstein truly discovered. Something that still breaks the brains of physics students a century later. Space and time are not separate things. They're one unified fabric, space-time. You exist in 4 dimensions. 3 of space, 1 of time. You're moving through all 4, always. But here's the mind-breaking part. There's a cosmic speed limit, not just for objects, for everything. For information, for causality, for reality itself. And that speed limit is exactly the speed of light, 299,790,458 meters per second. Now here's the key insight. Everything travels through space-time at this speed, always, no exceptions. You, sitting still reading this, are traveling through space-time at the speed of light. But you're putting all of that speed into the time dimension. That's why time passes for you. You're moving through time at maximum speed. When you start moving through space, you're diverting some of that speed away from time and into spatial dimensions. That's why moving clocks run slow. The space-time speed is being split between space and time. And light puts all of its space-time velocity into spatial dimensions. 100% space, 0% time. That's why light travels at the maximum possible speed through space, and that's why light experiences exactly 0 time. Light doesn't travel through space-time the way you do. Light traverses what physicists call a null interval, a path where the space-time distance is literally 0. Start point and end point are the same point, from light's perspective. This should break your brain. The photons hitting your eyes right now from your phone, from the sun, from galaxies billions of light years away have never waited. Never traveled, never experienced a single moment of duration. They exist outside of time. And when you understand that, you realize something profound about time itself. Time isn't a river that flows everywhere equally. Time isn't a fundamental feature of the universe that everything must experience. Time is optional. Time is something that only applies to things that move slower than light. Time is what you experience when you're not moving at maximum space-time velocity through spatial dimensions. Light doesn't experience time because light doesn't have to. Light exists in a mode of being where duration simply doesn't apply. And here's what that means for the photons entering your eyes right now. In your normal experience of the world, time is absolute, fundamental, inescapable. You experience duration. You wait. Things take time. The past happened before the present. The future hasn't happened yet. Every event is separated from other events by the passage of time. This feels obvious, undeniable, the basic structure of existence. Except it's wrong. Pause. Time is not universal. Time is not fundamental. Time is not required. The light entering your eyes right now from that lamp, from your screen, from stars that died before Earth existed, has never experienced a single moment, not one. Let me prove it to you. The Lorentz factor, the equation that describes time dilation, goes to infinity at light speed. At v equals c, the formula divides by 0. Time dilation becomes undefined, which physically means time stops completely. This isn't interpretation, it's mathematics. And we've tested it. Particle accelerators routinely accelerate particles to 99% of light speed. At those speeds, unstable particles that should decay in microseconds last for seconds from our perspective. Their internal clocks have nearly stopped. Extrapolate to 100%, time stops entirely. Think about what this means. A photon emitted from the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light in the universe, 13.8 billion years old, from our perspective, has experienced zero time. Zero. Not a really short time. Not almost no time. Mathematically, physically, actually zero. From that photon's perspective, the Big Bang and the present moment are simultaneous. The entire 13.8 billion year history of the universe, from light's perspective, it never happened. There was no during, no waiting, no passage. Here's the statement that should shatter your worldview. Asterisk, when you look at starlight, you're receiving messages from beings that have never experienced a single moment of existence. The photons have no past, they have no future. They exist in an eternal dimensionless now where emission and absorption are the same event. Asked, you waited 13 billion years for that light. The light waited 0 seconds for you. Both statements are equally true. Both perspectives are equally valid. This isn't speculation, this isn't philosophy, this isn't a metaphor. This is the measured, tested, confirmed structure of reality. This is what Einstein proved in 1905. This is what every GPS satellite, every particle accelerator, every atomic clock confirms every single day. Time is not what you think it is. Time is not universal. Time is not fundamental. Time is something that happens to you because you're not moving at light speed. And light has never experienced time. Light will never experience time. Light exists in a realm where the very concept of duration has no meaning. That's not mysterious, that's physics. Now here's what people miss when they learn just about light and time. This isn't isolated. This isn't a weird quirk that only applies to photons. This connects to everything. The same principle that makes light timeless also explains why nothing with mass can ever reach light speed. As you accelerate, your mass increases. At light speed, your mass would become infinite. You'd need infinite energy to accelerate. Impossible. Only massless particles, photons, gluons can travel at exactly c. And because they are massless, they must travel at c. They have no choice. Why E equals mc squared? Energy and mass are interchangeable. The speed of light isn't just how fast light travels. It's the exchange rate between matter and energy. It's woven into the fabric of reality. Why causality exists? Nothing can travel faster than light because that would mean traveling backwards in time. The speed of light isn't just a speed limit, it's the speed of causality. The speed at which the universe can update itself. Why black holes have event horizons? At the event horizon, space itself falls inward at the speed of light. Light aimed outward stays perfectly still. Time, from an outside perspective, stops completely at the horizon. Sounds familiar? What looks like a weird fact about light is actually the fundamental structure of space-time revealing itself. Space and time are the same thing. Velocity affects both. And at maximum velocity, one dimension time vanishes entirely. You're not separate from this. Right now, you're traveling through space-time at exactly the speed of light. You can't help it. Everything does. But because you have mass, because you're moving slowly through space, you're moving quickly through time. That's why you age. That's why you experience duration. That's why you wait. If you could somehow shed all your mass and become light, you'd stop experiencing time entirely. The entire future history of the universe would happen in a single instant from your perspective. The photons bouncing off the screen and entering your eyes, they're messengers from that timeless realm. They carry information without ever experiencing the journey. They connect points in space-time that for them will never separate. That's not science fiction. That's what light is. Every beam of sunlight warming your face is a direct connection to a nuclear furnace 93 million miles away, a connection that from the light's perspective involves zero distance and zero time. You're being touched by the sun directly right now. So why does light have no experience of time? Now you know the real answer. Not because light is really fast, not because time is weird, but because space and time are unified into space-time. And everything travels through space-time at the same speed, the speed of light. You put your space-time velocity into time, light puts its space-time velocity into space-time is what you experience when you're not moving at maximum spatial velocity. Light doesn't experience time because light moves through space at the cosmic maximum. There's nothing left over for time. But understanding this isn't just about light. It's about the nature of reality itself. Einstein didn't discover that light is strange. He discovered that time is strange. He discovered that our everyday experience of duration, of waiting, of before and after, of past and future is not fundamental to the universe. It's a consequence of our velocity. A side effect of having mass. Time is what slow things experience. And light has never been slow. 100 years ago, this was unthinkable. Time was absolute. Newton said so. Everyone's clocks tick together, synchronized across the universe, indifferent to motion or position. When a 26-year-old patent clerk in Switzerland asked what it would be like to ride a beam of light, and he discovered that the universe is far stranger than anyone imagined. The fact that we can understand this. The fact that human beings, collections of atoms, barely a step removed from stardust, can deduce the structure of space-time through pure thought and confirm it with precision instruments. That's not trivial, that's extraordinary. That's the universe being comprehensible. That's reality yielding its secrets to curiosity and careful reasoning. When you watch sunlight stream through your window tomorrow morning, remember what you're actually seeing, not just photons, not just electromagnetic radiation. You're seeing timeless messengers. Beings that have never waited, never aged, never experienced a single moment between their birth in a nuclear furnace and their death in your eye. From their perspective, the sun and your retina are touching. They always were. That's what light really is. Not something traveling through time, not something experiencing the universe. A connection, a direct line between 2 points in space-time that, from its own perspective, will never separate to begin with. Not journey, not duration, contact. If this journey into light's timeless existence changed how you see the sunlight tomorrow morning, subscribe and share this with someone who still thinks light takes 8 minutes to reach us from the sun. They're not wrong, but they're missing something profound. What other everyday experiences hide truths this strange? What else have we stopped questioning because it's too familiar? Tell me in the comments.